You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
Today on the Game Marks podcast, we play Fire Pro Wrestling for the Xbox 360 thanks to Mega Mark Jamie Patterson. Thanks, Soups. Will this game hold up today? Will we play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
All of this plus gaming news, Clash at the Feast, and an update on the final numbers from Gameboree 2021. Plug in and put on those nostalgia goggles because this week's Game Marks podcast starts now. And now, the Game Marks.
Welcome to the wow! I almost said the wrong fucking thing.
I heard you.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. My name is Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash, and today we are playing Fire Pro Wrestling for the Xbox 360 arcade. Thanks to Mega Mark Jamie Patterson. He's always picking the good ones, that guy.
Yeah, you know, there's not a lot of 3D Fire Pro Wrestling games to play, and we've managed to cover most of them now, so here we go. But as always, guys, we love to hear from you, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify now, and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen. And join in on the conversation on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod and on Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. John.
Hey.
Like you said, this week, Fire Pro Wrestling for the 360, but before we jump into that, let's talk about last week, the first real, true wrestling sim that we've covered on this podcast, Wrestling Spirit 3. A lot of history behind that game. Maybe not as well known of a series if you're super familiar with EWR. I didn't know until we were actually recording. Once we were going through the notes and we actually said his name a couple times, I was like, why does this guy's name sound so familiar? So in the middle of recording, I stopped. I was just like, let me take a second to look this up because I know this guy from something else. And it turns out EWR,
but I also have to correct us and myself because I posted that Did You Know, and I wrote EWR came out in 95, but it was actually just Extreme Warfare, and the Revenge part came later, so we're just used to calling it EWR and the EWR series, but really it's the Extreme Warfare series, so pardon me on that mess up, but listen, we both said it, it's fine.
Yeah, I also messed up and I said something, I was mentioning Poker Night at the Inventory last week, and I actually referred to it as Poker Night at the Casino. And,
I was looking it up.
Our good friend,
you were talking about it.
Good friend over at Best Bats Promotions, Elder Spork, let me know that I can love the game as much as I want, but I better say the name right. It has been a long time since I played that game, but fond memories of the game, and we talked about how good the series is as a whole in our Patreon exclusive Discord, which you want to join in and offer up some corrections to me and John.
Oh, that's the way to do
it. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod. But John, what's going on this week?
All right, so today, Monday. Happy New Year, by the way, everybody.
Happy New Year.
As you're listening to this, it is the day 2 days after New Year. We are well into 2022, and we're starting it with a bang with this lovely episode. We were getting this show ad-free on Patreon today. Tomorrow, you're getting the show notes on Patreon and GMP Game Over on Patreon at 7 p.m. And we're playing Showdown 64. Now, Wednesday, I'm gonna throw a little correction here because Wednesday's typically Future Endeavor Day on Patreon. So, as George could see right now on my camera, I am sitting in my wooden nook of my new house, untouched. We haven't tore these walls down yet. Everywhere else in here has white footprints from spackle and dust and sawdust, and it is an extreme war zone in here. See what I did? My future endeavor last week, Backyard Wrestling, Don't Try This at Home, is probably going to be out Friday. So if you're listening to this, it already happened, but Friday is probably when future endeavor is going to happen. But this week, Wednesday, George is playing the same game, Backyard Wrestling. Don't try this at home on Wednesday. Followed by Wednesday night's main event with George Feis on twitch.tv/GameMarksPod. And to check out all of our videos on YouTube, including playthroughs, Clash at the Feast, and GMP64, head on over to youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast. And check out GameMarksPod.com/shop for gamer grips, guitar picks, and all other GMP merch. Now, this is the part where we usually talk about Gameboree. So this is Monday. This episode comes out Sunday. All day Sunday. We are going to be doing Game Marks Mania, a live stream on Twitch. It already happened if you're listening. We are going to probably break our goal of 3,000 because we are close right now. Last week on the Major Pods Facebook group, we put up, thanks to Super 7, Matt and Brian, Super 7 figures in a raffle, and we raised even more money. We were over $400, maybe even 500. We don't know how we're going to top this next year because this year has been insane. Plus, we had one more raffle come in from our buddy Kanik for the green Power Ranger figure.
Well, listen, if doing Gameboree this year has taught me anything, it's that our reach and our ability to raise money for an awesome cause is well beyond what it was the first year, and I'm incredibly thankful to everyone who has supported us over the last 3 years. Incredibly thankful to Matt and Brian for taking a chance on us and letting us be a part of the network. That definitely has increased our reach. And, you know, huge, like John said, huge thank you to Yoko and the whole team at Super 7 for allowing us to kind of get early access to these Matt and Brian figures and allowing us to use them to raise money. Again, a huge thanks to everyone who sponsored Gameboree this year. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us yesterday for Mania. You know, it puts us in a good spot, in my opinion, that I think that now we were able to do this much this year. That means that next year we'll be in a better situation and a better spot to maybe go even bigger.
Yeah, it was also, I guess, trial and error the past 2 years. We saw what worked, what didn't. We simplified it a bit. It might have been a little too complicated with the tiers and all that. But I think what we did this year worked pretty well. But I'm going to say this. How about next week when we have all the final numbers, we run through them, and we announce the winners live on the podcast of who gets all the prizes?
That sounds great.
All right.
I'm all about doing that, and we will, maybe we'll also recap on the Wednesday stream just to make sure that the information's getting out there twice.
Yeah, sounds good to me. But are you ready for some gaming news?
Yeah, but it's going to be a different gaming news this week, though.
Okay.
Are you looking to get a better grip on life? How about your video games? Well, VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and consoles. Check out their products at VGFgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout. VGF Gamers. Better grip, better style. So, we and I were talking and thinking that maybe instead of gaming news, being that we are starting off, this is the first episode of the new year, maybe we'll do a little recap and we'll touch on, I don't know, our top games of the year, or maybe the games that surprised us the most, or just do a little rewind, if you will.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about games that came out or games we played? I feel like games we played is a little bit easier because might not have been games we played this year, you know? Games
that we've played, obviously, is the easier one to talk about because there's a million games that came out, but, you can't talk about how great a game is if you haven't really played it or experienced it. I think that we could just talk about the top games that we've played. I'm happy to kick us off. I played Back for Blood a lot this year. Pleasantly surprised in how it takes the mechanics from Left 4 Dead, because it's a lot of the same people. They just started their own. Oh my god, Why can't I think of the name? Oh, they started their own development company, and they made Back for Blood, and it's a lot of the same kind of experience, but it's a little more fleshed out and a little bit more of a challenging and rewarding gameplay. So that's my recommendation right out of the gate. I had a lot of fun, and I continue to have a lot of fun. It's very challenging.
Yeah, I downloaded that game as well. I didn't necessarily get to really dive into it yet. I downloaded Death Stranding when it was on sale. I haven't dove into that yet because of all the stuff going on here that I've been working on, but it is ready to go on my PC for whenever my office is ready, which is today's project, actually. And
Death Stranding came out in 2019, so.
Yeah, but we're talking about playing it this year.
I know.
Yeah, it's been out a long time. But I think my game of the year, which came out November of 2020, was Miles Morales, because I really dove into it this year. I 100%ed it. It was one of those games that you slow burn at first, but then once you get into like the meat and potatoes, you're just going. You hit the ground running. You don't want to end. There was many times which I was like, okay, one more mission, where I just kept going. I did not want. It was kind of like the end of No Way Home. I don't know if you saw it yet. But like the final scene was going, and I was just like, don't end. I want this. No, like I need the next one now. That's how I felt when Miles Morales ended. So I'm glad Spider-Man 2 is coming out soon, because playing those two games, I think that Spider-Man was such a good game that Miles Morales just built upon that being such a good game. And I think it's probably the best game I've ever played in my life. And that's...
I got to tell you, I 100% agree with you. I think those Spider-Man games, both of them are, it's right up there. Did you play the Batman Arkham games?
I gave up at Origins. I played like half of it and I wasn't into it, and I never played Night. Okay. But the first two were amazing.
Origins is made by a different publisher. So if you didn't like that one, that's probably the reason why. But I was a huge fan of them. I'm very excited to eventually get to play Arkham Knights. But, Insomniac is the same company that made Arkham and the same company that made Spider-Man. So I kind of already had high hopes going into it, because I kind of knew the quality of game that we were going to get, because I liked the Arkham games so much. But man, those Spider-Man games are just above and beyond what I expected, and can't wait for the next one, man. And I feel like this is a recurring thing that we always come back to. Yeah. This series.
But I'm going to tell you what the game of the year is. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it again. Rocket League Sideswipe. If you want something close to the real thing, competitive online play, it's all there. It's so addicting. I will sit here and I will just play like 5 games in a row, and I'm like, oh my god, where'd the time go? I just played Rocket League for an hour. It's just so good. Whether I'm on the train, which is a little, the internet's a little spotty, so sometimes I'll regain internet. It'll be like 12-0. I'll be like, shit. But so much fun, so much like the actual game. I think they did such a good job.
A game I just started that was released this year, or this last year now. It was released in September. It's called Sable. And I remember watching I just heard the cat growl and the whip in my head. Yeah, I had a feeling. Most people are going to go there. No, this has nothing to do with wrestling. This game it's an open world game. It's developed by Shedworks, and it's a very interesting art style. Like the game is just like strikingly pretty. Like it's got these cartoony cell shaded style graphics, and it's just like, it's one of those games where it's just like, yeah, it's about the story and like the journey of the character and all that stuff, but like, god damn, is this just like a nice game to look at? Like, did you ever play Journey for the PlayStation?
I have not, no.
The game itself, there's not like a ton of like story in the game, and there's not a ton of like to do in the game, but the game visually is just so striking and so captivating that's the reason that you play it. Like it's almost like a interactive like storybook. Like it's not so much like a video game where like you have to attack this thing and like fight this thing. It's just like you play through this this whole world, and it's beautiful. So I'm excited to see. I'll give you more updates as I play through Sable, but just it's a very, very pretty game.
That sounds fun. Do we want to honorable mention the Cyberpunk debacle? I'm not even sure if that was this year.
Is that best or worst? Because then we could also throw Vanguard up there for the worst. And
Well, actually, Cyberpunk was 2020, September of 2020, so kind of like beginning / end of the year. Vanguard, I know you weren't a big fan. I never even gave it a chance because I didn't want to.
I fucking bought it, John.
You bought it? We talked about this. We talked about this.
Yeah, I bought it because it was on sale, and literally all of my friends play it, and they were just like, "Just get it, it's on sale." So I caved and I got it. And like, I will say this: the game itself is not bad. Like the guns are fun, and knowing that I'm leveling up the guns in here to then use them in Warzone is cool. My problem is on certain maps, the spawns are so broken.
Oh,
and
one
like
of those.
You will just spawn into a group of 4 people. Like they'll flip the spawn, but they'll flip the spawn while the enemy team is still over there. So you'll just drop in, and all of a sudden, like you're either behind 6 people or in front of 6 people, and like depending on where that is, it either works really well in your favor or you absolutely get destroyed. And it's things like that ruin a Call of Duty game. But the game itself, mechanically, like is okay aside from the spawn.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that happen. I mean, that typically does happen in every game, but not that bad. Haven't gave it a shot. I haven't even played the new Warzone map because I've been so busy, which is shocking because I was a weekly player. But we'll get there eventually.
Caldera is bad.
Yeah, you think it's bad? See, I was a big World at War guy, and I noticed through some of the playthroughs, like Tim the Tatman and stuff, they point out certain areas of the maps are the same as World at War, so I'm like kind of familiar already.
Yeah. Well, listen, I was gonna say maybe on Mania we'll drop in, but
we could.
Well, it already happened.
Oh yeah, totally. We did great. We won back to backs.
I want to say this though, because I'm assuming we're wrapping up this part, and obviously I wanted to touch on this. Just before we moved on into the markout moment of the week. Our condolences, best wishes to the family of the football legend, the franchise, John Madden. I mean, just if you are at all interested in football, if you are at all interested in video games, if you've never watched football, you probably still know the name John Madden. And absolute legend, and he will be missed.
Yeah, not even known for the games. Like even as a Giants fan, after the 2007 Super Bowl, he called Tom Coughlin, said thank you for the season and everything. You just know him. You know him as the voice of your generation, pretty much, and of course the cool games that people aren't too fond of now, but they're still a really big deal.
Voice, coach. It's literally an entire gaming franchise built around this man. So
I hope they never change the name.
Just had a massive love for football, and he, like I said, he will be missed. But with that, John, is it time for us to talk about the markout moment of the week?
Yep, it is. What's up, Game Marks? Are you trying to look your best while repping your favorite video game podcast duo? We know just the place. Head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod to pick up your favorite GMP designs, including our various logo tees, Future Endeavor, the classic NES Pro Wrestling style tee, and of course, Mark the F out. Order today and receive a phone call from us. You never know who will pop in. That's ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod. Play it forever.
All right, so the markout moment of the week is a little section that we use to highlight awesome things that happen in our community. It could be a cool review. It could be a little nugget of information that you pass along our way. And apparently, John's got a little nugget for us this week.
Please don't ever say that again. All right. So I really like when people tweet us like, I just found your show, I find it interesting, I like this and that, and you guys cover all of that. I can't wait to dive in. They go back and start the episodes from the beginning, which I highly suggest.
Shout out to Chick Foley.
Yeah. I highly suggest listening to the new episodes first and then going back, because there is such a difference. And Jordan at Dang WWE Sucks, which is
what a
interesting
handle.
Yeah, interesting handle. He said, when I find a podcast I like, I binge, started a new one. First episode I've listened to was last night, then I downloaded 20 plus episodes. Now time to start at one and go in order. I'm late, but I'm on board. Great show at Game Marks Pod. So thank you, Jordan, for that. But here's the cool part. Jordan listened to Wrestling Spirit 3, last week's episode, and he said, my uncle, and he tagged him at Hawsome I Am, made the Wrestling Spirit characters in a program called Curious Labs Poser. His name is in the credits. So that's pretty cool. So you never know who we're going to find on the internet, and this is just one of those moments where we're like, damn, this is awesome. Kind of like when we did 5-Star Wrestling, and we got some insight on that. So once I posted the Did You Know, Jordan responded saying, also, did you know that rumors have persisted for over 20 years that the booking sim Promotion Wars by Adam Jennings was just a pseudonym, and it really was Adam Ryland trying to, make a different programming style, but he used a different name. So that's kind of cool. I guess we'll maybe eventually find out if that's true or not, or we'll just never know. But Jordan then messaged me because he went back and listened to episode 3, which was Chris Statlander's interview. Go check that out if you haven't listened. It's awesome. And we talked about eFeds in there. Me specifically, I was telling you about them. I was talking about my friends. And he messaged me saying he was an eFedder too. We kind of got to reminiscing about it. We weren't really in the same leagues, but I think we figured out one section where we may have crossed paths, which is just crazy because it's such a big open world. But back then, we were all on Geeksoft and GFeds, and there wasn't that many. There was maybe 50, so it's very possible that this happened. So that was pretty cool.
Did you still go by Johnny Clash then?
I was probably Mad Cat with 2 D's and 2 T's, a K-A-T-T,
Coming to GMP 64 Season 2, Mad Cat.
Yeah, that was my first name. But Johnny Clash debuted back in G-Feds, I think in like 2011 or 12 when it came back, and then it kind of died, and then I moved over to like Angel Fire Feds.
I thought you were going to say that Angel Fire was your name. I was
No.
Wow, John.
No, I was thinking of like what to call myself, and I was like, I could go by Johnny, and then you picked a picture of a wrestler to be like your wrestler, so I picked AJ, and I was like Styles Clash. Oh, like Johnny Cash, and that's pretty much how I came up with my name. So there's a little fun fact for you. There's a little Did you know?
There we go.
But yeah. One day, I'm still planning that eFed episode. I have a ton of friends that would like to be involved, and I think Jordan will now also be involved because he could also get his hands on that Zeus simulator we were talking about last week, so that's pretty cool.
Zeus.
But all right, that's the mark out moment of the week. If you guys have any cool tips, insight, or you want to just let us know how awesome we are, you could be the next mark out moment.
All right, but is it time?
I think
are we?
At least there's no Connect involved this week.
Are we? Listen, it was just as hard to get this to work, man.
If not harder.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time. We're gonna go, and it's time to do that hashtag deep dive.
What's up, Marks? We are proud to announce our newest partnership with NordVPN.
Protect your privacy from prying eyes with military-grade encryption and NordVPN. Are you sick of getting targeted ads after looking up a product or talking about it once? Whether you want to maximize your streaming services, get better protection while working from home, or just want an added layer of security while browsing the internet, NordVPN is an easy and affordable way to protect access to your personal data.
Visit GameMarksPod.com/VPN to get more information and try NordVPN risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee.
Protect your information, reduce your digital footprint, and feel safer on the internet, all with NordVPN. All right, so Fire Pro Wrestling 360 for the Xbox 360 Live Arcade, released September 21st, 2012, developed by Spike, published by Microsoft. That's a combination. Other games that you got coming out in 2012, you've got WWE 13, you've got Activity Rumblers for the WWE, you've got WWE WrestleFest, but the iPad version.
Now,
and
the Rumblers is the game that came with the Rumblers figures that you scan the QR code and you put into your phone, and you had a little game where they kind of sat on the iPad, and yeah, it was a disaster. We've heard Broski talk about it on the podcast before, how his came with it, but
yeah, it's just like a weird, like, the figures themselves are actually not that bad looking for what they're are, cool. But like, I feel like I'm like, sometimes we talk about things, and the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm genuinely surprised that WWE hasn't done more stuff like this. And this is one of those things where, like, I'm surprised that they haven't done more toy game tie-ins more.
Yeah. Well, this one you actually put the figure on the iPad on the stand, and you battle that way. It says battle on your iPad, which reminded me of the game I had when I was little. It was a little ring with a little little screen in the middle, and I had Kane and Stone Cold. They came off if you wanted, but they were figures that were on there, but they were the joystick, and then you had like two buttons next to it.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So I guess
I definitely do remember that.
It's a full circle moment there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, this is like the Rumblers are like what's it called? They almost are like the amiibos for the Switch and the Wii, or like
yeah.
the Spyro Skylanders or whatever it is, where you can like buy the little Spyro figures and put them onto the board. This was an interesting thing. I don't think we have to cover that.
No, I don't think so.
It's a figure thing. Yeah, I don't think we have to cover that one. But back to Fire Pro Wrestling 360. I like genuinely don't know where to start with this one, because it is just such a weird, like, do we talk about the fact that it's an Xbox game? Do we talk about the fact that it's a Fire Pro game?
I think the weird part is that when I was searching some stuff on Reddit, I found some stuff just there and on the internet from when this came out that some people were like, is this an official licensed Fire Pro game, or is this like someone getting sued? Because this, first of all, it doesn't
made
look
by Spike.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a Fire Pro game at all. You're not getting the 3/4 overhead ring. You're getting a regular straight-on ring. It's 3D. You're not getting the timing-based grapples. You're getting like actual button mashing. It's just all over the place.
This isn't even like and then the bell rang. Like the opening video, you know, you see the Spike logo, you get like a little intro FMV with like all of the avatars from Xbox, which, okay, not an Xbox guy, we've covered this a million times. Was that like a big thing?
Oh yeah, you had to have one.
Like no, was it like because you can like unlock stuff for your avatar, right?
Yeah, I never got too deep into that, but certain like games would come with stuff, and that's what I would put on. Like, I think my guy might have wore like Yankees or Islander stuff. You know, it's cool stuff like that.
Okay, so it wasn't like, you know, you played a game and then you got the Microsoft points and then you could buy more stuff in like an avatar shop.
I think you can, yeah. But I didn't do that.
Okay, so this is all new to me. I've never experienced anything like it, so it was all...
I found no use for that, but I think this was Xbox's version of making something like the Wii people. I forgot what they're called. Mii's,
yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a little...
it was like a weird thing.
A little more drawn out, and like this game, there was other games that involved your avatar.
Yeah, this was the first game that I ever had to make a Xbox Live avatar. And hopefully it's the last time that I ever have to make and use a Xbox Live avatar in a wrestling game.
Well, for now it is, because I gave my friend back his Xbox and it's probably wiped.
Yeah, we owe him a lot of favors.
Yeah, yeah, we do.
But okay, so this game is announced at the 2010 Tokyo Game Show, and I guess their big thing was, like John mentioned earlier, is that this is more of a button masher and less of a timing-based grapple system, and The hopes there was that being that this was a American-made or a American-based Fire Pro Wrestling game for the Xbox Live, that this would appeal to a wider audience. And we also mentioned you're using your avatar for the Xbox 360, and yeah, you take it through a Fire Pro game, but it is just it loads up. The intro FMV happens. You go to the menu.
Do you remember this game coming out at all?
No, not at all.
As I was like diving deeper into it, some of like the commercials and like ads for it, I was like, okay, this looks somewhat familiar. But at this time, I'm only like 3 years maybe back into watching wrestling. So WWE 13's coming out. I love 12, so obviously I had to get 13. I wasn't even thinking about getting a game like this.
I'm watching the trailer
Don't do that.
we are recording, and it's the same as the intro for the game. There's a avatar that runs, gets set on fire, and then now is in a full luchador setup here. But it's like, this was the other thing that was really strange to me. Your character can be quote unquote shirtless with like 6-pack abs and stuff, but it's not actually your avatar shirtless. It's like wearing a Halloween bodysuit.
Yeah.
It's like a sweater.
That's weird.
What? But why does that need to be a thing?
It doesn't.
Why can't it just... I'm just like, what?
I don't know. Let's read the description of the game quick, because it says your avatar in a game of pro wrestling. Fire Pro Wrestling is a dream come true game that lets your Xbox 360 avatar fight like a real wrestler. Grow your avatar, collect moves, costumes, fight your friends offline and online. You'll have plenty to do before rising to your wrestling stardom. And then the bell rings. Your main menu, you have a campaign, an exhibition, multiplayer, your locker room, your avatar fame star, leaderboards, achievements, help and options, downloadable content, which is a thing and we'll talk about it, or you can exit. Because this is obviously an Xbox Live arcade game, so you're not getting a disc of this. This is purely just on your system, which is kind of the start of what we get now with the non-disc, even consoles.
Yeah, it's I'm already distracted by the next section, because the next section is the roster, and I'm just reading some of these names.
Oh,
like,
don't do that yet.
Yeah, these are literally just
some of them are clever. Like, we're gonna enjoy some of these.
Like you just go online and you're like, wrestler name generator, like, and this is what you get.
Oh,
like, your wrestling name is Max Steel now.
Yeah, but your match options similar to Fire Pro, but you're not getting like the gruesome fighting, the death matches, and SWA rules.
I'm kind of upset about that.
You're getting singles, tag, 2-on-2, which isn't that tag? Interesting. 4-way match and battle royale.
Maybe it's singles, tag, tornado is 2-on-2.
I think.
And then 4-way battle royale.
Yeah, we didn't do that one. We just did kind of singles, and battle royals.
We always just do singles.
Yeah. Actually, battle royals and Fire Pro are usually more people too, but I digress.
So I gotta be honest with you. I kind of want to read the roster this week.
If you want to read it, go for it, because there's some hilarious ones here.
You can take us through the DLC. All right. So your roster is your custom made avatar. Then you've got Aching Anthony, Deadlift, Toy Boy, Trainer Ted, Firestar, Wrestling Bag, Big C, Menacing Mama, Grandma, The Grandfather, Mighty Max, Andy, Crafty Clark, Nancy, Beach Queen, Madame, Bustin' Brutus, Miss Olive, Mary Thon, get it?
Yes.
Get it? Eddie Cruiser, Queen Ellie, Darling Dan, Honey Mayhem, get it? Jester's Fool, Blue Goblin, Pink Nightmare, Raging Red Star, Supernova, Yokozuna Yoko, that's one person, Evil Giant, Wicked Little, Turnbuckle Pete.
Oh, that's your name.
I knew you were going to say something. Forest Soldier, Forest Warrior, Lucy Lone Star, B-Man. What? She's in this game? Hermione. Charlotte.
She's in this game.
Wow, pulling some big
That's a
names in
dream
this
match
game.
right there.
King Lucha, Duke of Curl, Drama Queen, Muscle, Mr. Solitude, Veteran Power, Blue Marauder, Heartbreaker, Dark Fletcher, W.F. Closer, Crazy Nash, B.A. Danielle,
Badass Danielle.
B.A. Damon, DJ Scratchy, Bushwhack, Dirty Diana, Chosen Chen, Winter Eyes, Autumn Chill, Toru, Koji, the Ninja, Kung Fu Liu, Master Wang, Bodyguard Joe, Constructor, Destructor, Cynthia Fox with 3 X's, Bodyguard Mike, Bodyguard Rick, Bodyguard Ben, and Da Boss.
Which was your favorite? Because I'm going between Grandma or Master Wang.
I like either Honey Mayhem or where was the other one? Marathon.
And your DLC, you have Prima, Boxer Jack, Jitsu.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Red.
No, it's G-I-U, Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, it just sounded a little weird. Red Mawashi, Billy the Champ, Red Danger, Yellow Cyclone, Green Bangle, Karate Chopper, Swan Luca, G Tyrant, Golden Diana, and here's my favorite, 360. Get it?
Booyaka. 360.
It actually works. But you have a few arenas here. It's not like your Kurikan halls here in your Fire Pro or your Tokyo Domes. You're getting the garden, the beach, the gym, the hall, the arena, the street, Chinatown, and building.
Building. Love wrestling. I can't tell you how many times I've watched Johnny Clash wrestle in building.
Half the buildings I've wrestled in are probably named
Are buildings.
Building, yeah. Just building. So Avatar Fame Star, that's what kind of this engine is here, and that is the program that allows for like games and challenges to be supported by your avatar. So that's what the whole live arcade, I guess, platform is, where you're getting like Motocross Madness, Doritos Crash Course, Home Run Stars. This game, you're getting poker. You're getting, so this game, I think this is why it wasn't as popular or big, because it's not actually a game that you would find like in a game store. It's within this Avatar Fame Star category.
Yeah, it's
So if you think about it that way, it's not that bad because you're getting this with everything else.
So that's what I was going to say. At least there's a bonus to it, and I'm trying to think if there was like, the only experience I have with making any kind of avatar is on the Wii, and there's maybe not so much now, or no, maybe not so much back then, but now I know that with things like Smash Brothers and stuff like that, like depending on other games that you have in your library, you can unlock costumes for your me in Smash Brothers.
Right.
So this is kind of like that same kind of thing, but I mean, some of these characters, man, like,
well, let's get into that.
There's blatantly a blue and a pink Power Ranger.
I was just looking at that. Let's get into it, because the cover of this game, I guess you could call it a cover, or I guess the icon. Fire Pro Wrestling, powered by Avatar Fame Star, where Fire Pro Wrestling, I feel like they needed to stick with the same logo for everything to get their name on this. This is not the Fire Pro Wrestling logo we know. And I think it's the same for like the Game Boy version as well, where it's the same game. It's a good game. You're just getting a different logo, and you're getting like a 3D figure on the front, where maybe brand it towards what people know, and like this game would have maybe been a little bit better recognized. but you're like George said, you're getting blatant ripoffs of the Power Rangers. I think I see like an Ultimo Dragon Liger somewhere. There is Rey Mysterio basically right on the front in that muscle sweater George was talking about with a bunch of other masked luchadors. There's some weird guy that looks like Norman Smiley posing awkwardly in front of the camera. It's just endless weirdness on this cover, but you know it's a wrestling game.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
And you know what you're getting because you're getting these guys on the cover. You're getting your avatars on the cover. And again, I use cover loosely because it's really not.
It's an arcade game, so I mean, all right. Well, so you touched on the style of the characters on the cover, and again, cover in quotations. But let's talk about the style of the game itself, like, because this pretty much takes the concept of Fire Pro Wrestling and just turns it on its head.
It's just weird 3D-ness. It looks like a mix. It's like if Def Jam was made for kids. Is that a fair assessment?
I don't like the way that you put it, but I agree with it.
It's got that
like,
same
I don't like that sentence
feel.
of Def Jam for kids, but
like the dark and dreary feel of like the underground and the streets and the building and all of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying, but just the way that you framed that sentence, just all of a sudden I was just like, what? Like a 6-year-old's gonna be.
And this screenshot here that says My Wrestler vs. Koji, the avatar actually looks like you.
Wait, what?
He's got
just because it's wearing black and it has a beard. Crap.
And,
all right,
and glasses, and it's got the gray sweatshirt. Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, all right.
They knew you were in this game. But I don't know what to say about this game, about the art style.
I don't know.
It's not ugly. It's just not what we're used to. It's like a kid version. Here we go. Ready? A kid's version of Rumble Roses meets Def Jam meets like...
That's worse.
I don't know. Meets, I guess, a Fire Pro game because you're getting characters you don't know. They just don't look like real wrestlers like the other ones.
Somehow you made it worse.
Somehow I made it worse, but you still understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it because I played it and I know exactly. Like it's like the over animated, super cartoonish, but like overly smooth moves that you would expect from a Def Jam or Rumble Roses, but
better animated than Hulk Hogan's main event.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they were just like, oh yeah, and by the way, this game is a Fire Pro Wrestling game. Like, it's Fire Pro Wrestling in name and nothing else.
Someone on Reddit actually compared it to the Ultimate Muscle series with how the moves are executed, and I can't argue that because they are very over the top.
That's a borderline compliment there, John.
Borderline compliment because we love that series, but yeah. I mean, I'm going to give credit here. I'm going to say my favorite part is, did you know? Did you know the predecessor to Fire Pro for the 360 was released 1 year earlier titled Fire Pro Wrestling in Mobage for the Japanese social gaming platform Mobage.
Say that one more time.
Mobage.
Thank you. Did you know this game is still available to download on the Xbox 360 store for $9.99, which is 800 Microsoft credits, with a $4.99 Fire Pro Legends add-on. A free trial is also available.
Hey, what's your URL for your Mobage account?
Mobage.com/GameMarksPod.
We should. Can we try to get? Is it still a thing? I'm gonna look it up. Mobage.
Oh, nope.
I'm on. What do you mean?
No, I Googled it. It's just an entire front to bottom Google search result only in Japanese came up. And I was just like, well, yeah, I don't know what this is.
But when you click it on Google, it translates. Apparently it is still an app for PC and your phone, but obviously Japanese. This is actually kind of cool. It's just tons of games. There's a girl biting her shirt. I don't want to click that one. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff here. I assume
have
it's like
regrets, John.
it's like a social media, like Facebook-y thing for games. I got to give Fire Pro credit because they literally will go to any platform. The Wonder Swan, the Mobage, anywhere, anything possible,
They always
will
pick
do.
the consoles with the greatest names.
Yeah, well, they're
Mobage.
But let's talk about this Legend Series DLC add-on pack because it says, have you claimed the title belt? Are you hungry for more? Then prepare yourself for another fierce round of pro wrestling with the matches, 20 new wrestlers, a set of spectacular new moves, and a Legend Series. And the Legend Series brings you 12 bone-rattling new assortments of fun costumes all in one pack. So basically you're buying new members to the roster and outfits, which for me, I'm not spending $5 on that.
No, but hey, you could also make RoboCop or something that looks like a non...
Can you make a Sting with the RoboCop? Because then I don't want it.
I didn't try that, but you can make RoboCop.
Well, that's good. Oh, all right. My back hurts. I've been sanding ceilings for a week straight. It's Wednesday right now as we're recording this, and 3 days in a row of just sanding ceilings.
Are you telling me that you need the relaxing, calming music?
I need the music. I need some R&R.
All
I
right.
need some ratings and reviews.
Let's do it. John, would you like me to take you through the ratings and the reviews?
You know what? Yeah. I'm going to sit back this time.
Are you serious? This is actually happening? Because last time I tried to do this, you immediately cut me off
Fire
as soon as-
Pro Wrestling for the Xbox 360 Live Arcade. In the Xbox Store, out of 14,206 reviews, ratings, this game has 4 out of 5 stars, which is crazy. The Metascore on Metacritic gives us a 48, with the lowest from 411 Mania being a 35, and it says, if you ask me, and obviously you are if you're reading this, the first attempt to bring Fire Pro to the Xbox 360 is not a good attempt at all. I understand the idea was to make a game more accessible to everyone, but in doing so, it has become a boring train wreck. Now, Greg Miller at IGN says, seeing as Spike is using Microsoft avatars, there's no blood in the game and no foreign objects. There are countouts if you like, but no false count anywhere abouts. This is strictly 1, 2, 3 matches in one of 9 arenas. You could play by yourself, online, or up to 4 players. When I was done with the game, I felt like I was really done with it. Clearly, this isn't the Fire Pro wrestling fans know. That's fine, but it's gone to such a simple format that I don't know how many people will dig it. I could agree to all of this, but certain times I have to say this. When you're comparing it to a Fire Pro and a game series people love, it's going to obviously get these bad reviews, bad comparisons. If this game came out...
I was just going to say, like, it's like what we said before. They literally made a game and then we're just like, yeah, we'll just put the Fire Pro name on it.
If this was made by Spike and called, like, Xbox Arcade Wrestling or something simple like that, I think people...
Totally different game.
Yeah, and I think people might have reviewed it a little better. And as we know, reviews are pretty crucial to a game, like we saw last week with Wrestling Spirit 3. If the reviews aren't good, people aren't going to buy the game because it's the first thing you look for and the first thing you see when researching, hey, would I like this game? And I don't know, because the Xbox Store clearly has a good review, but if, say, you go to Metacritic or you go to IGN or 411 Mania, you're not going to get the good review, and then you don't want to buy it.
Well, because that's the thing. The Xbox game is going to have a good review because it is appealing to such a mass audience. Like,
right.
I mean, the review that you just read, this is the attempt to bringing Fire Pro to the 360, and it was one of the first attempts, which means that it needs to be something where now that name becomes sort of recognizable, where if they were to release a maybe they redo Returns for the 360, or when World comes out, or that's a recognizable brand. But this just, I don't know, leaves a bad taste in the mouth of people who
are
already experienced with it.
I don't think a wrestling game critic can review this game. I want to see, like, my friend Chris, who hasn't played a wrestling game since Warzone, review this game. I think it's a completely different story. Yeah,
I agree.
All right, but there's some unlockables here. You could win You can win some wrestling tights by obtaining every costume in the game, and you get some new bottoms, they're called. You get some leather boots by winning every match in the Champion Series, and you get a new mask by winning every match in the tutorial. So we didn't really talk about the Champion Series, but it's basically, there's no story involved. It's basically do these sets of matches in this arena and move on to the next arena and do these sets of matches.
All right, well, that was everyone else's reviews and little unlockable facts, but John, it's time for the most important reviews, and that's our review, because it's time to rate the game.
The game!
All right, Johnny Clash, Fire Pro Wrestling 360 for the Xbox Live Arcade. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
You're fired!
This is tough because, like we just read, like with the other reviews, you can't compare it to a Fire Pro game. But I'm going to look at it as a standalone game that in 2012 I would have 100% had on my Xbox console if I was aware of it. But looking at it now, does it hold up? I want to say yes, it does. I'm going back and forth here. Because you're missing the license. The name's throwing me off here because you want it to be a Fire Pro. But I think once you get down to it, saying that, like what IGN said, saying it's boring and once you're done, you're done. You could always go back and unlock the achievements, which I like doing. You could always go back and play online. I think it's like very bordering, but I'm going to go play it forever.
Woo! Okay.
All right, but George, I want to know what you think about this. So I'm going to ask you, will you play it forever or future endeavor?
Yeah, I'm walking that same line that you're talking about, where it's just like, this is branded as anything other than a Fire Pro Wrestling game. It's not a bad wrestling game. It's the greatest wrestling game of all time? No. Are there things that could be better? Sure, but you could say that about any wrestling game. But it's fun. It was fun in a solo playthrough, and it was fun when you and I messed around with it. Like, it's like the core game at itself is just like an easy wrestling game to pick up. There's a little bit of a button mashing element. I mean, the animations are cool. I mean, yeah, it's
he means,
it's,
guys.
Like
he means
it's on that border. So I'm gonna follow suit with you.
Oh,
Give it a play it forever, but it's a play it forever that is literally on the line.
it could really go either way. I could see getting frustrated with this game, or I could see really putting time into it and just messing around. It's not a game you're gonna be like, I cannot wait to play that. It's a game like, oh, you know what? I need a little change of pace before I start my third season of Madden franchise.
Yeah, it's not a game that they're going to release or would ever have released a like $15 DLC pack. But like, if you're enjoying the game, you want to get a little more out of it, that $5 pack's not horrible.
No, and you also have to look at it, like before everyone jumps down and throws, I can't believe you played it forever. Look at it as not a Fire Pro game, and look at it for what it is, where it's a $10 game on the Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, it's a time killer.
Right.
It's literally a time killer because you don't have maybe you want to get in a quick game before your kid wakes up, or you want to get in a quick game before you go out with your buddies for whatever. Like, you can just do something quick for like 10-15 minutes, get like a match or two in, and then you're done.
Exactly. Sorry, I got a splinter yesterday, and it's really deep, and I can't get it, and it's bugging me as I sit here.
No, it's fine. Leave this.
I am leaving all this.
People need to know this.
All right, but it's time to talk about our weekly tournament, Clash at the Feast. YouTube.com/GameMarksPodcast. Last week we played Wrestling Spirit 3. We played only one game because, like we said last week, all of the games are being decided yesterday on Game Marks Mania. So we'll follow up last week and talk about the whole month of December. But you could watch Wrestling Spirit 3 that we played last week. I believe I took the win. I believe it was a squash match, as it said in the reviews for the match. It was nothing more than a little squisher there. But I thought it was fun. We had a good time. It was just annoying that we were working off one computer and I had to keep telling you what moves I wanted to do. But I think we could both go and we could be like bang, 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 bang.
I honestly did not mind the game itself, like presentation wise. I think the only thing that I would have liked differently is like if you saw what happened. Like even if it was just like how is it Supercard? No, it's the AEW GM where like the match is played out and they're not like full animations, they're just like cuts of right. Hooking someone for a suplex, lifting up for the suplex, then the suplex lands on the ground. Like it's not like a full animation, it's just like little cuts here and there, like something visual to tie into the match itself would have been cool. But hey, who knows? Maybe we'll get something like that in Wrestling Spirit 4 or TEW 2022.
Right, and like I said, Indie Pro 22 is coming out. It's on track for November 22. Your boy, Johnny Clash, is in the game. They just recently put out their new logo. I wish I could message them and say, hey, can I redo this again for the 5th time? But we're going to let it ride. We're going to give this game a lot of hope. It's actually surprising me, some of the stuff they're putting out, and I think it's going to be a pretty good wrestling sim on Steam. You could wishlist it right now.
Oh, man. But listen, are you ready to talk about what we're playing next week?
Yeah, let me know.
We're going back. We're going all the way back, and
I'm all the way back.
Kind of replaying a game, but kind of not. So you may remember there was a game that is available in our archives. It was the Chikara Action Arcade Wrestling game.
Yeah.
We talked about it when we had Max Smash Master on a couple weeks ago.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. And now Tekker has decided that he would like us to revisit the re-release of Action Arcade Wrestling on Steam, now just fully branded under the Action Arcade Wrestling series, and all the Chikara superstars have been removed. This is all new wrestling, or all new wrestlers. There's new features since we covered it last, so we're going to kind of rehash some of the information that we covered when we played Chikara, but we're also going to cover the new roster and what they've added since we played it last time.
Yeah, and when we did this episode originally, we did say we were going to come back and revisit it once it's more drawn out, and it's been, I think, 2 years since we covered it, so this is a great time to jump back in.
Yeah, I do believe Chikara came out in 2019, right? Yep, October 15th of 2019.
Cool. I'm ready to jump back in.
All right. Well, is that it? Are we done? Are we wrapping up another Fire Pro game?
I think we're wrapping another Fire Pro game. We wrapped up 2021 here. This is another year, another dollar. We're doing it.
Hey, John.
What?
Thanks for doing this again for another year with me.
Here we go. Sappy George.
No, just want to say thanks. You know, I just...
Johnny Fire Pro, Georgie Sappy.
Yeah, here we go. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks Podcast. Please check out all of our merchandise at GameMarksPod.com/shop. And join us on Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. It's the best way besides listening to support the podcast. And be sure to follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And subscribe to wherever great podcasts can be found. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. Here's to a awesome 2022. Thank you once again for all the support during Gameboree. Johnny Clash, do that thing.
Game over. 2021 and the marks.
It's just so nice to be doing this for another year with you.
Shut up.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.